listening to the VetTunes Podcast, where we shine the spotlight on veteran artists and artists in the music industry. Stand by for transmission. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mike Corrado, and you're watching the VetTunes Podcast, and we are coming to you from the beautiful Harmony Hills studio in Shelbyville, Tennessee. And today we are absolutely honored to have on Season 2, Episode 1, Miss Hope MacGregor. She is a Army helicopter pilot and graduate of West Point, and also an amazingly talented singer-songwriter. So we're going to get into all of that. But Hope, welcome to the VetTunes Podcast. Welcome to Harmony Hill. Glad you can make it down.
Thank you so much for having me. I've had fun kind of checking out the space here. This place is awesome.
Yeah. Well, we like it just kind of back in the woods and, quiet and keep to ourselves and get creative.
Yeah.
So.
I love a place where the directions include, like, turn at when you see the sawhorse.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, sometimes GPS will take people to different directions, and that's okay too. We like to be a little hard to find. But, so with the show, we like to learn about people's path to the military, since we are a veteran show. But then, in particular, their path to music, or those folks that are in the entertainment business, engineers, all that kind of stuff. But how did West Point happen?
Yeah. Well, West Point happened by way of music, actually, which I know maybe doesn't sound like the normal route. But I grew up doing music. If you'd have run into my grandmother MacGregor in the grocery store, she'd have told you that I could sing the sound of music before I could speak a full sentence. So I grew up taking voice lessons, piano, show choir, marching band, like the whole nine. And by the time I hit high school, my bright idea was to drop out and run off to Nashville with a boy. And my parents, in their infinite wisdom, said, "No can do, sister." So that then started like a 1.5 year long battle with my mother of, "You must go to college." "I don't want to go to college." Which eventually, like, my, teenage dramatic self of like, "Oh, if you're going to make me go to college, I'll go to Oklahoma State," which we lived in Illinois at the time, but I was born in Norman, and my dad went to OSU, my granddaddy went to OSU, and I had cousins there at the time. And so I was going to go to Oklahoma State and, like, play in the bars, and, like, Texas Red Dirt was really kicking off. Like, you had Corey Morrow and Pat Green and Cross Canyon Ragweed and all those guys, like, really kind of coming up and getting Grammy nominations and that kind of stuff. And so I was going to go to OSU, play in the bars, and, like, go to college, but, like, really do music. And so my mother had been collecting all of these brochures that were coming in the mail from colleges. And we got in a very familiar argument the summer before my senior year. And she was of the opinion I could go to a better school than OSU. And so she was kind of filtering through options that were coming to our door. And just on the top of the pile, there was a brochure for West Point. And so she was like, "If you're going to go all the way to Oklahoma State, you might as well go to," and just picked that top brochure up and read it and said West Point. And I said, "Fine, I will." And got online and, like, filled out the initial application, which was just, like, where do you go to school? How old are you? What's your GPA kind of thing? And I ignored, like, all the American flags and uniforms that were, like, all over the website. Had no idea what the service academies were. Couldn't have told you the difference between the Army and the Navy. But then got, like, the thick packet in the mail. And I was like, a physical fitness test, a congressional nomination, and started doing more research and kind of went all in on West Point and figured, music will always be there if I want to go do that, but this has a timestamp, right? Like, you have to go. It's kind of now or never situation. So applied, miracle of all miracles, I got in. And yeah, that was it.
That is incredible. I mean, the service academies, incredibly difficult, and rightfully so, to get in. Because they are where our nation's next leaders are born. Or some of the places. I went to the Citadel, so that's a place too. But it's so difficult to get in there, and then just by happenstance, it happened to be the top of the pile that day.
Yeah.
And then to then hone in on that and get accepted and, go through with flying colors. I mean, so, you are in Illinois at this point?
Yep, we were in central Illinois, so just south of Springfield.
Okay. So moving up to the New York weather up there, not too bad of an adjustment for you?
I grew up dealing with snow and snow plows and shoveling the neighbor's driveway and all that stuff, but New York winters are different, man. They are. It's a deeper, bone-chilling cold, and certainly more snow, and being right there on the Hudson River, it can get brutal pretty quick. But nothing like going to a school where your classes are not canceled for 28 inches of snow. Your professors are expected to snow ski and snowshoe their way in. So yeah.
What kind of time off did you have there?
Not a lot. West Point, if you do it right, there are so many opportunities to fill your time and your weekends with all the cool stuff, right? I was very fortunate to have an incredible sponsor family there that really took me under their wing and made me one of their daughters. They had 2 girls in high school at the time, and they took me to see my first Broadway show. I got to sit front row at Wicked, and
so you got to see New York. For those of you unfamiliar, West Point is striking distance to New York.
You have to.
Minutes, hour.
Yeah, but you have to hop the river and get on a train, but it's an hour train ride away. So yeah, and they schedule your weekends even during the academic year. There's football weekends that everyone has to participate in, and then training weekends everyone has to participate in, and so free time is hard to come by, but a cadet will make a way where there seems to be no way, sort of thing. So there's definitely plenty of shenanigans as well.
Now, did music squeak out? You talked about going to Oklahoma State and hitting the bars.
Yeah.
Here you are close to New York.
Yeah.
Did it sneak in there? And we'll get to your musical journey, but since we're here.
Yeah, so all the service academies have glee clubs, and not the show choir version, Glee, the show with the dancing and the sparkling, outfits and stuff, but a very traditional choral arrangement glee club. So I, auditioned my plebe year, my freshman year, and got in. So yeah, a lot of my time that could have been spent on free time, free weekends, we did 2 spring breaks traveling. So I got to spend a spring break in, oh my gosh, God forbid, Southern California, doing a big tour around there. We got Trace Adkins reached out, and we recorded a song Till the Last Shot's Fired with him, and then got to go to the Academy of Country Music Awards with him. And so I got to do some really cool stuff with music, sang the national anthem at a couple football games, at the Army-Navy games. So it was always there. And then there's always a guitar around the barracks,
Sure.
And so there are a couple of guys from Texas who I'd play with from time to time. And then my senior year, my first year, we made a dumb little band and played one terrible show at the Firsty Club, and we didn't stick around long. But yeah, it was always there in the background.
Is that where the Red Dirt influence showed up?
Oh man, I learned how to drive stick shift to Pat Green. So just by having cousins in Oklahoma who were kind of in that scene around Stillwater, they were sending us music up in Illinois, and so my brother and I were big fans of Ryan Bingham when he first came on the scene. So yeah, it's that definitely started in high school for me.
Okay. And did you get to play any clubs around New York, or did you not yet full-blown singer-songwriter at this point?
Yeah, I was always little ditties would always kind of fall from the heavens, and I'd write I have a couple songs from 2012 and 2013. I have things around that era that I would pick up and write, but no, I never really, at that point I was fully gonna be a general officer someday, so it was more of a hobby at that point for sure.
Sure. Speaking of the glee clubs, one of the coolest things, one of the coolest performances of the year comes at the front of the Army-Navy game, when they get both of the choirs together, the clubs together, and they sing. It's just it makes that hair on your arm stand up.
Yeah, well, and the service academies are kind of the perfect place to have a choir, because choirs are always short on the low end. You can never find enough basses. We'll go to a school, it's 80% men, you have all the bases in the world, you know. So yeah, it was a fun choral arrangement.
That's awesome. And then how about doing the national anthem?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, it's so silly, but like those little things. That was the first time I'd ever been in like a real recording, because it's a big stadium. They record you first, and then you sing into a microphone, but it's a recording that's playing with the band. And so that was like such a learning opportunity, because I'd never been in like a real studio. So I kind of got to break that seal with people showing me the way, like, no, and I don't know what I'm doing. So fast forward all these years, when I step in again, I have like some idea of what is a click track and how is this going to work and what am I going to hear and where should I stand. So yeah, I mean, it was awesome.
It's a tough song to sing.
Oh my gosh. Well, and it's like being a veteran, everyone wants you to do it, and you're like, all right, well, here we are. And there's always that panic, like the second you put the microphone to your face and you go, oh, I just forgot all the words, and then you're just relying on like muscle memory to get through.
Yeah, I've done it a couple times, and I couldn't be the Marine officer that just punts it into the stands. You know what I mean? Like you have all that pressure of, you know, whether you're in or out of uniform. It's just like, you know, all the stuff that comes with it. You know, the veteran thing. It's like, man, you can't be a veteran and punt that thing.
Yeah.
But you know, when it's right, it's right.
Yeah,
and it's amazing.
Yeah.
So graduate West Point, 2011, and then now here you are moving on Seabag Drag out to the big Army.
Yep.
Right now, was that straight to flight school from there?
Yeah. Yep. So I graduated 2011, May of 2011, reported July of 2011 down to Fort Rucker. So.
And how do you determine whether you want to go aviation, ground, law?
Well, for me, it was my older brother. I was high enough in my class that I knew I was going to get kind of whatever I put first in my, you know, wish list. And I was on the phone with him. I was like, you know, Bub, I really can't decide between aviation and military intelligence. And there's like a long pause on the phone. And he goes, well, sis, if they're going to pay you to learn how to fly helicopters and you don't go do that, you're a bigger dumbass than I thought you were. And so I was like, well, all right then. So that was how I decided. Maybe not the wisest decision-making paradigm, but...
Where's flight school?
Fort Rucker, Alabama.
Okay. So you go there. How long is that for rotary wing?
I was there about 18 months. So before I got there was a huge backlog. They were up in hard time putting students through, so people would spend almost 2 years down there. So I was lucky to get out at about 18 months. So
nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get done with flight school, and now it's on to big Army.
Yeah, Fort Campbell, got assigned to the 101st Airborne Division. Best place to learn how to fly. I was a Kiowa pilot, so there's 2 CAV squadrons there of Kiowas at the time, and just steely-eyed killers, best people you could learn to fly from. So yeah, that was a huge blessing to get assigned there.
And you're striking distance to Nashville now.
Oh yeah, just an hour up the road. So.
Was that kind of lingering in your head, and you're thinking, I can see the bright lights from here?
Yeah, it really, really was. And there are so many days I'll like kick myself now because if I had spent more time in Nashville, I would obviously go to Nashville to party, right? Like we'd go down there, hit the bars in Broadway before it kind of became like bachelorette capital of the universe and what it is now. And, you know, would hang out with some of the bands and like, you know, got this one guy's number and he's a bass player and I was going to go to his place in Wright, and then I like chickened out because I was like, oh, I don't really know him. And yeah, like that era was kind of like when Maren Morris was coming up and like Natalie Hemby was really starting to get some momentum, and if I had been there then, you know, kind of thing. I try not to kick myself too much about it, but yeah, I would go there to party and hang out, but not really willing to like admit to myself in the mirror that like I still really want to go do that. So yeah.
How long were you at Campbell?
I was there about 3 years. 3.5 years.
Okay. And then the OIF, you deployed January of 2014?
Yeah, OEF. So I went to Afghanistan. We spent New Year's Eve in an airport in Dublin, Ireland. So rang in 2014 on my way to Afghanistan. And yeah, I was there January to September.
And what'd you think?
Oh my gosh. You know, at that time, like, and it's a weird thing to say, and people may not get it, but like it was, Kiowas were not frequently being deployed to Afghanistan. We were single engine, helicopter, no doors, like really kind of rough and tumble of the aviation industry, redheaded stepchild kind of. And there was an opinion at the time that our airframe couldn't handle the terrain of Afghanistan, which we proved many times over not to be the case. But yeah, so they weren't really sending us over. So getting to deploy as a scout helicopter platoon leader, like not as a staff officer, not as a maintenance PL, but like getting to go actually fly, like set the flight schedule, work with the ground forces on the missions, like it was a blessing, right? Like not a lot of people got to do that. So to be one of them is really kind of an honor. Did I enjoy my time there? I mean, it's I mean, I think that was certainly an experience that shaped me, gave me a totally different opinion of strategy and how the world works and maybe how it should work. I've deployed with the best people. One of my former warrant officers is now my financial planner, you know, like,
friends for life.
Friends for life, like trust them for life, like still pick up the phone if I needed anything, like they'd be there, still get phone calls from time to time for letters of recommendation. And I just, you know, those are the people that you love with all your heart. Yeah, I mean, but it definitely was a confusing time for me, right? Because I went ready to wage war, and I got there in 2014, and we're not really waging war so much. Some units were. I got to work with a lot of special forces guys that were still out fighting the good fight. But then a lot of what we're doing is like, actually don't go there because the last time you went there, somebody got shot. And it's like, well, yeah, because that's where the bad guys are kind of thing. And so learning a lot of like that phrase, perception is reality. And it was pretty clear to me after about 4 months that like someone's trying to create a perception that we're winning here. And it's actually because we're not really fighting anymore. And whether that's because we're turning the fight over to the Afghans or not, like there's just a lot of, I don't know, I still have a lot of frustrated emotions about it. But yeah, I mean, it to get to go do the damn thing, like that was a huge honor, and to do it as well as I think we were able to do it given the parameters that we were working in.
You know, there's a lot of veterans out there. There's a lot of service members, but there's not a whole lot who have actually deployed to a combat zone and executed the job in which they were trained to fulfill.
Yep.
And that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And that's special.
Yeah.
You know, and then the friends you make in a combat zone, it's deep.
Yeah.
You know, it's for life. You know, you have a lot of good friends.
Yeah. And I was super fortunate too. I had a very good friend of mine, Michelle, deployed with that same unit on an 09 rotation. And they came back and she gave me the best words of wisdom that I got, right? Like I was single at the time, young lieutenant, and all my guys were married or in serious relationships, kids, families, right? And she said, you know, the hardest part for you is going to be that you're going to go with them and you're going to be their family, right? Like you're going to be their boss. They're going to be your mentors, like, and you're going to spend every waking moment with them. And then when you get home, you're going to have to turn them back over to their families and you're going to still be you. And like, I was so grateful that she gave me that preparation because I think it helped me keep a little bit better distance while we were there, like lean on some more of my female friends in different units for that emotional support side. But then also when we got home, like knowing what was coming, and it came full, like, I mean, I had those months of like drinking a 6-pack every night I got home kind of thing. But knowing how to maintain those relationships in a healthy, respectful, but still deep and meaningful way, like she really set the standard on how to do that well. Yeah. So
now we're still gonna circle back around to where the music started. Yeah. But we're still in Afghanistan right now. Did the guitar make it?
There were guitars there, so I definitely had a guitar to play, and linked up with a chaplain out of the New Hampshire National Guard who was doing a Sunday night service in a little chapel across from the DFAC. So I ended up playing those worship services, just me and one of the many gifted guitars that he had downrange. But I ended up bringing my banjo with me, of all things.
Like a no kidding 5-string.
Like a no kidding Gold Star 5-string banjo. And it survived the trip, and it survived the trip home. I still have it. And yeah, really annoyed all my chew mates with trying to keep up with the picking.
I mean, a banjo is a bold move. You know, it's
go big or go home, right?
You could also go with something like a trumpet, you know, tuba, trombone.
Yeah. No,
but yeah,
banjo.
How cool though. How cool. How did the banjo come about?
Well, rewind the clock to high school. The boy I was like tragically in love with, who didn't love me back, wanted to start a bluegrass band. And we had a fiddle player. He had an upright bass player, and he played guitar. And he asked if I would sing. I was like, yeah, I mean, happy to sing. He's like, we're also looking for a banjo player. I was like, well, I'll learn banjo. And so, through a weird connection, my dad's buddy at work knew the banjo guy who had played banjo for Allison Krauss when she was coming up. And so I started taking lessons from good old Brian Morgan on the banjo. So, yeah.
I mean, it's such a unique sound.
It really is. It really is.
And it adds, you know, we do a lot of music, mostly in the Americana lane. Mm-hmm. So we're always looking for those types of instruments with the texture, you know, and the banjo has such a great texture when you apply it to, you know, so many different things.
When you play it well, I don't play it well, so when a bad band, there's not a lot worse than a bad banjo. Maybe like a bad harmonica. I don't know if that even touches a bad banjo.
I mean, bagpipes.
Bad bagpipes. Right? That's right up there.
Early fiddle playing.
Yeah, I don't know. You're in a cat scratch on that.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So you get home. The rush is gone.
Yeah.
And, you know, life of, you know, garrison leadership occurs. Mm-hmm. You know, what was the path from there?
Yeah, so when we were downrange, Big Army announced that they would divest the fleet of the Kiowa. So we were, you know, 6 or 7 months into a 9-month deployment when we found out we would all be coming home and not having a job. So that became, for me as the platoon leader, that then became like the big rush of like trying to make sure all my guys are taken care of. You know, who's getting an airframe transition when we get back, who's going to have to switch MOSs, and like, do they have all their paperwork together? And a lot of really frustrating phone calls with HRC. So when we got home, it was, you know, really quickly, like people started leaving left and right for their next assignments. And then I picked up a troop command for the troop that I had deployed with to shut her down. So then it became like, well, people are leaving and nobody else is backfilling them. So pretty soon it was me and 4 of my favorite warrant officers just like turning in equipment, getting ready to make flight plans to turn in aircraft, like, and it got really sad really fast, which was part of the 6-pack a night medication. And then I had to kind of figure out what I wanted to do next. And at the time, you know, we were downsizing force, and there were, you know, commissioned officers that were dropping packets to get out of their service obligation a little early. And I thought about doing it and going to Nashville, and I got kind of scared, and I was like, no, I'm going to do the right thing and like finish out my 8-year obligation. And, you know, aviation was like, well, we don't really have an airframe transition for you. Come down to the career course and we'll figure it out, which is Army speak for like, there's not a plan and you're on your own. And so I elected to do a branch transfer into civil affairs and got out to Fort Bragg and did the whole jump school thing. And then, you know, I was 2 weeks away from graduating the civil affairs course when we did a jump and I broke my arm. So that was kind of a come to Jesus moment of like, do I really want to be a civil affairs officer, or is this just kind of like the next thing? And at that point, kind of started making moves to go ahead and get out of the Army because I was pretty well done with the shenanigans.
Yeah, it's an investment.
Mm-hmm.
It's a physical investment. It's an emotional investment. But
yeah.
So now you're getting out.
Yep.
Then what?
Yeah. So I was married at the time, and blessedly, like, when I moved to North Carolina, I chose to live in Southern Pines instead of Fayetteville, and it's a much smaller community, tight knit community. Like, felt very much like where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
In the Midwest. And so I gotten really involved in a church and kind of figured out, like, okay, well, service to my country does not require that I keep this uniform on. Like, I can still make a difference and an impact. I was an interim youth director for the youth group, and, like, spent a lot of time, I think, helping serve my country through the youth, right? Like, dealing with everything kids in high school are dealing with and making big life decisions. And so kind of made, like, a decision matrix of, like, okay, what do I want to do next? Do I want to go teach? Do I want to be an electrician? Do I want to be a forest officer? And landed on law school. Kind of had the GI Bill, lots of law schools to choose from in North Carolina. And I knew I, like, needed to be the breadwinner for the family. So that's how we ended up taking the LSAT and going to Campbell. So
out of the Army. Into law school.
Straight into law school.
And then, did very well there.
Mm-hmm.
Took the bar.
Mm-hmm.
This is in 2022.
So how does one transition from law into music? Well, let a global pandemic hit.
Mm-hmm.
Let your grandmother die. Let your dog get diagnosed with cancer. Let your ex-husband run off with a blonde to Texas. And then let your car break down on the way to class and just go, okay, guys. Like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
That all happened within, like, a 6-month span.
So now we're up to 12-pack a day.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. We're twice a week therapy appointments. Like, so my dad came out and was helping clean stuff up, and he found an old guitar and was like, you really ought to start playing again. So I did, and so that got me through, like, 2020, 2021, and by the time I'm done with law school, I've got, like, an EP recorded. So graduate May of 22, release an EP June of 22, and then sit for the bar exam July of 22. So
22 was chock full of adventure and excitement and and as much as you could humanly possibly pile on your plate. Yeah,
and I knew at that point too I was going to be moving back to Tennessee, and I started, like, losing all this hair, and I'm complaining to a girlfriend of mine in law school. I'm like, God, I feel like I'm going bald. Like, I can see the top of my head. And she's like, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like, no, I need to see a doctor. She's like, girl, it's probably stress. And I was like, what do you mean it's stress? She goes, I don't know. You got divorced. You're moving across the country. You're graduating law school. You're taking the bar exam. Like, do the math, sis. I think you're stressed. And I was like, I don't even know what that feels like. So, yeah.
Now, let's talk about your path to music or with music.
Yeah.
Where did it start?
I mean, I hate to, like, sound trite when I say it, but I really do think I, like, came out of the womb humming.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, like, big music lover, and we had a lot of, long family road trips between Illinois and Oklahoma and Illinois and Florida, to, like, visit family and grandparents and stuff. And I mean, like, the soundtrack to all those trips was Eagles' Hell Freezes Over and Steely Dan Asia and Cat Stevens and, John Fogelberg and, like, all those people, Bonnie Raitt, Nick of Time. Like, I mean, I grew up on all that classic stuff. And so I think there was definitely, like, an innate gift that I was given for it, but also, I had a dad who gave me a great music education, and more importantly, I had a mom who was willing and able to drive me to everything I wanted to do as a kid, right? Like, I wanted to take violin lessons when we lived in Texas, and so she was taking me to violin lessons after work. And once we moved to Illinois, like, she finds a piano teacher down the street, and so I start taking piano. And then voice, and then trying out for show choirs and trying out for community theater. And so, I mean, like almost everything I did as a kid was music except play tennis. Like that was it. Marching band, community theater, show choir, madrigal ensembles, like everything I did basically centered around music. And I owe a lot of that to my parents, and not just saying they love music and like playing music in the house, but like making it possible for me to pursue it and get like a really good education in it as well, for sure.
High school, is that kind of when you started picking up the guitar a little bit more? Yeah,
my dad really tried to teach me when I was, 12, 13 years old. And of course, anything your dad does at that point, like, isn't really cool. So I was like, no, Dad, I don't want to. But then, of course, when a boy wants me to learn banjo, I'm all in. And like, but then, yeah, I mean, through that little bluegrass band, like playing other people's music, I kind of went, well, hell, I want to write some too. And so that's when I started picking up the guitar to write some of my own tunes. And, I think the teenage angst, right, of like my big brother is like going to parties and I'm so worried about him. And so I'm like, write a song about like being worried about my brother. And like that, heartbreak of the Nokia phone that like you have to T9 text on, and like, and I text a boy good night and he doesn't respond, and like, he's not responding. So yeah, that's where I started writing, was all of that silly stuff.
So have you been journaling or, kind of keeping notes, starting to write songs?
Yeah, starting to, and I think I still have like a couple of bad like recordings from high school. Like I think GarageBand had like just started coming out on Apple products and stuff, so my dad was getting me to goof around with some of that. So nice. Yeah.
When did you start like formulating songs, like kind of a start to finish?
I mean, I gave a good stab at it in high school, and then really put it down to get through West Point. And then in flight school happened, and I was like singing in church and playing a little bit there, but not really writing. And then starting in 2012, I moved up to Fort Campbell area, so around Nashville, and have a couple songs just kind of fall out of the sky that are actually on the 2 albums that I've released now. So like Jealous Kind, I like literally get out of the shower at my first rental house in Clarksville, and I'm standing in front of the mirror, and just this song falls from the heavens, like, and I start like kind of tapping the beat on my counter, and ended up putting it on the first album. And then Red River, I like wrote in the car on a drive to Nashville, crossing over a bridge that just said Red River, and like that's all the inspiration I needed, kind of thing. And then while I was deployed, I'd be walking from our flight line to like the big battalion talk for some sort of maintenance meeting or whatever, and I'd hum a tune and start writing a little bit of something. And I have all those notebooks of like where I wrote all that stuff down. Nice. And some of it I still just like remember, like it's still there, it just stuck. But yeah, so I think was always kind of writing little ditties here and there, but never taking it as seriously as I maybe should have. So.
And who are your influences?
Oh my gosh, who's not? I'll say these names and people will go listen to my music and be like, this doesn't sound like an influence at all. But yeah, I like Nickel Creek, Laura Marling, definitely, I mean, like Steely Dan, the Eagles, Bonnie Raitt, Garth Brooks is like a number one forever and always. Who else? Yeah, I mean, Pat Green, Cross Canadian Ragweed, like all those Red Dirt guys. And I think like in terms of songwriters that I really respect and admire, Lori McKenna is going to be like number one always. Like I remember sitting in my barracks room, like having a radio antenna sticking up out of like the window, and we could get some Boston stations, and I remember like listening to an NPR music hour, and like that's where I heard Lori McKenna for the first time, like 2008, 2009. And so she's one that's definitely stuck with me for a long time.
You recorded Matriarch in 2022.
Yep, July.
Along with the bar exam, coming out of the law school, all the stuff.
Yeah, so the Matriarch first studio album, I think we recorded that July of 2023. So that would have been the year after I took the bar exam. But yeah, so I'd been in Jackson about a year when we hit the studio for that one.
And what was that like?
Oh my gosh. I felt a little bit Hannah Montana, because I was like waking up. When I got out of law school, I got a job working for a federal judge in Jackson. And so, and he like, again, just divine intervention, like huge music guy, was like in a rock band in the 90s before he went to law school, like had Rolling Stones posters everywhere in chambers. And so, so I was like, Judge, would you mind if I took half days this one week in July so that we can go down the street to the studio and record an album? He's like, yeah, of course. Have a great time. Like, just, make sure your work's done. So yeah, would go to the courthouse in the morning, do my job till about 1, and then I'd like walk straight over to the recording studio, change out of my business suit into my jeans, and then we'd be in there until like 10, 11 at night, go home, wash, rinse, repeat that whole week. And so, it was just so exciting because it was such an intense week, right? Like it felt very much like a, military school experience, right? Like where you're locked into this thing many, many hours of your day. And at the end, there's going to be a product. And, had an absolute blast. I learned so much about what I like and what I don't like. So
there's something about the recording experience.
Oh, yeah.
But I remember the first time I went and recorded in a studio and worked with, professional musicians and just, talk about a learning curve, which was good. But I feel like I can tell you everything about every one of those days. It's just ingrained in there, and then, from there it was such a great experience that, you just want to kind of keep doing it.
Oh yeah.
So, and then, what we did in retirement is we built a recording studio, so we could do it every day.
Isn't that the best?
And it's not bad. You've made fast friends with Bella, our rescue beagle, studio dog. But yeah, we wake up in the morning, we make some coffee, and we come down here and see what happens. Somebody's got to do it.
Somebody. Yeah. Might as well be you.
The people who played on the album. I listened to both the albums. Such a diverse body of music, right? And it crosses multiple genres, but really all under the umbrella of what I think most people would call Americana. Tell us about the players up in Jackson, because there's some great music happening, great musicianship.
Yeah, I am like I hope to be like Jackson's best brand ambassador as a town, because it's small enough that there's no traffic, right? But you got 2 Walmarts and a Target, so you got everything you need.
It's big.
I know, right?
Bigger than Shelbyville.
Well, I grew up in the middle of a cornfield, like off Chicken Bristle Road, right? So when I moved to Jackson, people were like, oh, it's so small here, like blah, blah, blah. And they're talking down on it. I'm like, are you kidding? You got 2 Walmarts and a Target. Like, that's 3 times the size of what I grew up with. But no, so Jackson is halfway between Memphis and Nashville. And it's the home of rockabilly music. So Carl Perkins is from Jackson. And so if you like Johnny Cash's early stuff, Elvis's early stuff, the Beatles, they all came through Jackson and worked with Carl. And so there's just something a little bit in the water there, in terms of like our history, but then also everyone, people don't know how spoiled they are in Jackson. Like when they go to the barbecue place, and there's just a local artist playing an acoustic set, like, it's a freaking quality musician and artist, right? Like with a great voice and a story to tell. And having lived as many places as I've lived and been to as many barbecue restaurants as I've been to and heard as many local people as I've heard, like, you don't get that everywhere. And I say this with all my heart, like, the band that I get to work with and travel with, like, they're all insanely talented and they work very hard at their craft, but more importantly, they're really good people. I spend plenty of time in Nashville writing and networking. It's where the industry is, right? And I leave so often feeling like I need Botox and a boob job. Like there's just like a level of competition and a level of like there's not enough to go around. And I think that that's true to a certain extent. And there's a lot of people pushing really, really hard to succeed in the industry side of it. And in Jackson, we just get to be really good artists. And we get to play the music that we love and we like. And we're not worried about, is so-and-so going to like it? Is it going to get me an invite into this room? Is it going to, and I don't know. I think that leaves us a lot of freedom and latitude to like do what feels right.
Yeah. Well, the current album you have out now, Sloppy Seconds, came out in 2025, and it starts with, this great horn section and different horns, different ranges. It's just great. It's just great. The other thing I really like about your music is, your lyrics are very, you paint beautiful canvas.
Thank you.
But I really like those 4.5, 5-minute songs to where it's like you're not trying to be out in 2 minutes, 20 seconds. You're letting the players play, which then paints more colors and things on the canvas. Yeah. And because I like to, I probably listen to music most when I'm driving, and letting a song and a story unfold, vice trying to get it into the formula. Yeah. It's like, let that part breathe, let that person play, let that thing, and that, I really like that.
Well, thank you.
I like people that, that aren't allergic to, to playing a whole song.
Yeah. Well, and I remember the first time I heard a co-writer, and I was in Nashville, say, like, play the verse and chorus. And so we like do a little voice memo of the verse and chorus. And then they're looking to see how long it takes to get from the verse to the chorus, because they're like, well, if we don't get to the chorus within 30 seconds, when you post this to a reel on social media, people will probably have swiped. And I'm like, I am not writing a song for a social media algorithm. And yeah, to your point, like there's also artistic choices, right? Like on this latest album, there's a song called I Do, and it's about like, I never should have said I do. And so we're like mapping out the outro to that song, and we have an incredible pedal steel player, Shannon Cook. He is phenomenal. Funniest guy on planet Earth too. And like, if you have an insanely good pedal steel player and you have a song about I shouldn't have gotten married, and also I probably shouldn't have stayed in that relationship that long, like, let's let the song go on longer than it should. Like, the relationship went on longer than it should. And let's let Shannon freaking have a moment to do his thing. And yeah, by the time he's done laying that down, like, I'm sobbing in the studio, right? Like, if people will slow down and let themselves have a moment to feel, like, it'll do something for you. So.
And then there's one, you've got what sounds like a full choir behind you. Is that you?
Are you talking Used to Fly? No, that's a full on, well, I say choir. That was, those are all Jackson singers. And so I told our producer and then my co-writer, Joe Kyle, on that song, like, we're going to come in full band, but then I want a choir on this thing, right? Yeah. And so it was just a matter of like 3 phone calls to a couple of buddies, like, hey, you and bring a friend kind of thing. And so I think we had maybe 12 singers in the studio for that. And then my very good friend and co-writer, Jonathan Greer, directing them and like writing parts in studio, teaching parts in studio, and then recording. And it was, oh my gosh, talk about goosebumps.
How did that song come about?
Well, so Joe Kyle is my bass player, my producer, and one of my favorite co-writers. And he came and we were doing, I don't know, maybe for the last 18 months or so, like Monday night writes, like every Monday night he's coming over to write. And he came in one night And we had performed Desperado at a show that summer. And he sat down at the piano. He goes, Hope needs a Desperado. And I was like, okay. And so we're talking about like, what does that song mean? And what's kind of the sentiment? And it's that like kind of looking in the rearview mirror, maybe talking to your younger self, or like at least reflecting on where you've been. And I had written this like very sad essay when I kind of hung up my helmet, my flight helmet for the last time. Like, and the sentiment of the essay being like, I used to fly. And like, I'm scared that every room I walk into now, time in memoriam, I'll never be who I once was because I used to fly. And so then we started talking about like, well, flipping that into the positive, right? Like what a gift to have been given that opportunity.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I've got to talking on that, and that was what we ended up with, was used to fly.
It's gorgeous, and then knowing that you're an aviator, it's like, wow. Yeah. I mean, it just makes it extra special.
And the Jonathan, the director that we used for that choir portion, when we were talking through the parts and pieces, I was like very adamant that at one point I was like, the choir has to be singing womp, womp, womp. He's like, womp? And I was like, yeah, womp. And he goes, why womp? And I was like, because it sounds like a rotor blade.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, oh. So it's so silly, but yeah.
So with Matriarch and with Sloppy Seconds, full albums.
Full albums.
Right. How long did it take you to come up with the whole album? And when, what was did you have to dwindle it down, or did you kind of have a set that you wanted to work towards?
Yeah, they were both kind of different experiences, because by the time we hit the studio with the Matriarch, we've been playing those songs live for about a year, along with some others. And so we kind of had an idea of like, well, which songs are hitting live and which ones aren't. And so that was a little bit of an easier process. Like I sat down with a couple of friends and I just written all the songs on like note cards that were in the running. And I think there were like maybe 35. And so we just spent some time like whittling it down that way of like, why this one over that one. And then kind of arranging a track list and swapping things out before we settled on that. And then Sloppy Seconds, a lot of those songs we hadn't really been playing live, and a lot of those songs we really like used to fly. We don't travel with a choir, so we don't play that one live. And then Still Waters is one like I can't play live, and then Why Dogs I also can't play live because I just start crying. And so that one's a little bit different, because I walked into the studio knowing some of these are going to exist probably on this album, and that's kind of going to be how they exist. So I felt a little bit more freedom to do the songs that just mattered to me at that point, and not so much the ones I was worried about then shopping around in live shows and pushing to radio and stuff. So that one was there were fewer cards on the deck, so to speak, when we went in for Sloppy Seconds. And then I just gave myself the freedom to say like, no, we're just doing this one because I want to, not because I feel like I have to have this type of song, or I have to have a live song that will translate. So
yeah. How did the title track Sloppy Seconds come along?
Well, I went to West Point to piss my mom off, and then I named the second album Sloppy Seconds to piss my mom off. Really, like, Sloppy Seconds, when we wrote it even, we all, like, I wrote it with a couple of friends in Jackson, and as we were writing it, I'm like, I cannot believe that, like, but this is the hook, right? Like, the second it came out of my buddy Shane's mouth, I was just like, well, that's it. Like, that's what we're writing towards. And yeah, there are so many songs on this album that could have been the title track. Like, there are some really great bangers. There are some really sentimental songs. But if you're...
It's fun. It's irreverent. It's rowdy.
Yeah, well, and it's also like, if you're getting ready to release your second album and you have a song called Sloppy Seconds and you don't name it that, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But no, it was funny because I sent the album once it was released to a mentor of mine, John Dixon, in Texas, and saw him in January, and I texted him the link, so it's like the picture of the album, which is me like laying in a body of water, and the title is Sloppy Seconds, and he's very much a father figure. And he was like, great, I can't wait to listen, and then I didn't hear anything from him. So I see him in January, and he's like, I have got to tell you, I was so nervous when you sent me that link, and I saw the title, and then I saw the picture, and I thought, oh dear God, what am I about to listen to? And I was like, right, but when you listened, what did you think? He was like, I loved it.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So
You made a big choice in 2025, and that was that music is it. That's it. It's full time. It's, I mean, here we go.
Here we go. Yeah, it's been a long time coming, and I joke, but I mean it earnestly. Like, I'm just grateful that the Lord's been this patient with me, right? Because He's, I think, been calling me to do this for a very, very, very long time, and I have run from it, like Jonah in the well, God knows how many times. And I mean, like, I don't kick myself too hard for it, because obviously, like, doing all the things I've done they've all given me the voice that I have. They've all given me the experience I have. But yeah, I mean, it was one of those, like, the day job had kind of a natural conclusion. And so I called my former warrant officer financial planner, and I said, how many years can I give myself of not having an income before I'm, like, totally screwed? So yeah, this is it for as long as I can pinch those pennies and make it work. So yeah.
So you have a Hope House concert series coming up.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, and tell us how people can host one.
Yeah. So this year we've got all this great music out, full band. We've been doing full band shows for a while now, but I think obviously as a songwriter, where my heart lives is like getting to tell the stories and really see people experience the music. And I think that that's how it lands really well sometimes too. So we're going to do a Hope's House concert series this year. So if you've got room to host about 25 to 50 people, inside, outside, we'll bring the sound, we'll bring the music. I might even bake you some cookies. You just got to bring people, and we'll hit the road and come give you a show. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
At Hope MacGregor Music, on all the socials, and my website is MAC, like the basketball, not like the farmer. So HopeMacGregorMusic.com, at Hope MacGregor Music on socials. And I still am the one checking all the DMs and emails. So, shoot me out.
I'm glad you did, because I ran across you on TikTok.
Yeah, I was going to ask how you found my stuff. But
when we started the VetTunes podcast, and then the VetTunes podcast TikTok page, then, when you start getting into the algorithm, you start learning about different artists that are out there who are veterans. And the one thing that really drew me to you was the storytelling, just a very organic sound. Thanks. Regardless of kind of where you're living in the genres of either blues, rock, country is a whole new thing now, but just where you fall within real music.
Thanks.
And the other thing I thought was interesting too is, a lot of times with veterans, as artists or things like, they're trying to get themselves out there, they kind of stick to that military or that veteran theme. And you were the opposite of that. Yeah. You're telling your stories based on life experiences. The ones like I Used to Fly. There's a tip of a hat to it, but it's not overtly, and it can apply to so many different people, so many different ways. I thought that was really refreshing.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Hey, Mom, see, sometimes people don't want to hear about my veteran BS.
Not when you have a voice and you can write like that. So, but you did good, Mom. The fact that you got parents that raised you in an environment to where music was part of the life experience. I mean, that's special.
Yeah, for sure. So,
all right, so anybody that comes to Harmony Hill comes all the way to Shelbyville, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville. We asked them to play us a song or two. So what are you going to play for us today?
Well, I think we've got to obviously play Sloppy Seconds.
Okay. So title track of the most recent album.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. And then if we're going to do a second one, we are hitting the studio next week. So I think I'll play a new tune that we're getting ready to release.
All right, so we're getting all the Jackson crew back together and getting to hit the studio.
Yep.
Nice. Looking at doing an EP this time?
Yeah, I think so. A little bit of a snapshot in time of, got a boyfriend for the first time in 5 years. So had a lot of stuff to write about. So we're going to capture some of that. So
good.
Yeah.
Well, we can't wait to hear it. If you're just tuning in, I hope you go back to the beginning and learn more about Hope MacGregor. Just an incredibly talented singer-songwriter, Army veteran, and we thank you for your service. We thank you for your music. Music gets us through a lot of things, and it's very therapeutic, and there are so many great aspects to it. And I think you're kind of proof of that. Just writing on your experiences and kind of sharing your heart with people, and it's a magical thing. So thank you for what you do.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right, so we're going to be right back with Hope MacGregor, and you're watching the VetTunes Podcast. Big shout out to Harmony Hill and Mr. John Lasseter for hosting us, allowing us to do the show here. And if you want to learn more about the VetTunes Podcast, please visit us, vettunespodcast.com. You'll see our artists, you'll see special performances like the ones that we're going to have from Hope, and we hope you check it out because there's a lot of amazingly talented folks that are also veterans and have really cool stories. So we hope you enjoyed this, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
I got a beer and a bone to pick. You got a problem, honey, I ain't it. I got a hitch in my giddy up. You can't keep your big mouth shut. You've been running my name across town. You've been gunning to bring me down. Let me say this just one time. Your old man has never crossed my mind. What do you see when you sleep with him? All I know when I look at him is I see a beer gut, broke ass, deep debt, no class. Girl, I know that you might feel threatened, but I ain't taking your sloppy seconds. Been single for a hot dang minute, but your boyfriend, no, he still can't get it. And I ain't saying that you're batshit crazy. If you got another woman, I ain't that lady. You've been running my name across town. You've been gunning to bring me down. Let me say this just one time. Your old man has never crossed my mind. What do you see when you sleep with him? All I know when I look at him is I see a beer gut, broke back, deep debt, no class. Girl, I know that you might feel threatened, but I ain't taking your sloppy seconds. Well, I'd rather be alone forever than share a home with your home record. I'd rather be alone forever than share a home with your home record. Let me say this just one time. Your old man has never crossed my mind. What do you see when you sleep with him? All I know when